Everybody, hope you are doing well. So we are doing a new course right now by a book calling The Kosher Kitchen. So we will see all the prohibition around kashrut, all the laws and everything. And we will interest ourselves for the first step to the biblically prohibited combination. So we know that we got some kosher food, some non-kosher food, like the meat. We got some animals who are kosher, some others who are not. But even a kosher animal, like a cow or something like that, like a chicken, we have to slaughter him, like with the shrita, to make him kosher. We have to throw away all the blood. So we have a lot of steps to do, but we'll just right now talk about the biblically prohibited combination. So basically, the first one, it's of course basar v'chalav. Basar v'chalav is when we make together some meat and some milk, and it's prohibited by Torah. We can see, I think, 3 or 4 times in the Torah, in the Chumash, we can see the verse who is saying, "Lo tevashel gedi b'chalev imo." You will not cook the child of the cow in the milk of her mother, I think something like that. So I know how to say it in French, but in English it's more technical. So we know that we got some meats who can be kosher, but even when, as we say, we got some kosher meats, but we have to make him shrita, there's a lot of things to make it real kosher. We get the milk with also kosher, but together it's not kosher, and it's biblically prohibition. So it's not like the sage coming after the law of Torah and saying, so we can do it. No, it's from the Torah, so it's very important, and we have to be really careful about it. And just talking about combination, prohibited combination, we also have another type. It's kilaim. Kilaim is when different species growing together. So when we plant some vegetable or grain near together, we call it kilei zraim. Kilei zraim, it's because it will make another plant or another vegetable. It's a combination, it's a mix of two vegetables or plants or grains, whatever you want. And it's prohibited to do it. We can eat some, it's prohibited in Eretz Israel, but outside Eretz Israel, we got something else. It's calling kilei akerem. Kilei akerem is when you plant a vegetable near a grape wine. So it's very specific. It's not two vegetables near ones together, one with another, but it's especially a vegetable or a grain near to a grape wine. And we call it kilei akerem. And so the first one claims rhyme, so any type of vegetables together, it's a prohibition only in Eretz Israel. So if we do it in France or outside, we can do it. But the prohibition of kilei akerem, when we put together next to a grape wine and a vegetable, it's prohibited everywhere. Okay. So about the rabbinic prohibition now. We know that every rabbinic prohibition are coming from a Torah prohibition. And is, where does the rabbinic prohibition come from? So there is 3 types of rabbinic prohibition. The first type, it's the one who are based upon Torah law. So we got the Torah law, and the rabbis make some law to make a geder. How they say? So we will not go and do some Torah prohibition, which again, it's very, very important not transgressing. So it's the first type. It's some law based upon Torah law. The second type, it's rabbinic extension of actual Torah prohibition. So we got Torah prohibition, and we do another an extension by a rabbinical law. And the third one, some rabbinic prohibition of food based upon the condition that one may transgress some other Torah prohibition. So it's very particular because it's like, okay, a very good example, it's maritime or muksei. So basically, maritime is like we can have some prohibition on certain action, which are allowed by the Torah, but we are afraid that if somebody see you doing it, they will think that you are doing it in a certain way and it's permitted to do it, but it's not. For example, you can't put your laundry during Shabbos because so it's legal for Shabbos to doing it, but when people will see you doing it, hanging out your laundry, they will think that you washed it during Shabbos because you just hang out it. So they will think that it's permits to wash your clothes during Shabbos, but it's prohibited. So the Chachamim said that it's forbidden to hang out your laundry during Shabbos because people, by seeing you, will think that you can also wash it. And the other thing is muksei. Muksei is that you are not allowed to touch any objects which are prohibited on Shabbos. For example, you can't write on Shabbos, okay? So the rabbis make a decree saying that you can't touch a pencil, because if you touch a pencil, you will want at one moment to write with it. You will just take it in your hand and make it feel like that. And right now you just have a piece of paper and say, oh, I just have to don't forget something. So you will write something and it's forbidden. So Chachamim say, we will do a geder, we'll do a barrier. You can't even touch a pencil to be sure that you will not going to write during Shabbos. And I'm sorry, the third category, it's about prohibitions that have not direct connection by Torah law to protect the spiritual welfare of the Jewish people that we just talked about with Mukseh, Maritime, and we got others. So first now, we will see the food forbidden as an extension of Torah prohibition. So Chazal, the Chachamim, extends the Torah prohibition of many foods to include foods not covered by the Torah law itself. For example, we know so the Torah prohibits the basar v'chalav, to cook some milk with meat. And it's mina Torah, from the Torah, it's only about milk and beima teora. It's a kosher domestic animal, like a cow, sheep, or a goat, okay? But Chazal extends the prohibition to include meat and milk from a chaya, a non-domestic animal, like a deer, and from fowl, okay? So they make some extension to be sure that we will not prohibit. It's just like we say with maritime and muksei. So more like maritime, because mina Torah, from the Torah, you can cook some milk with a fowl because it's a chaya, it's a non-domestic animal, and the Torah prohibition, it's only for milk and domestic animal. But when somebody will see a Jew cooking a fowl with some milk, they will think, okay, so we can cook any animal with milk. So I will take my chicken, I will take my sheep, a goat, anything, and I will be able to cook it together. But no, it's forbidden. But we are afraid, the rabbis are afraid that if somebody who doesn't know as well Torah, they will just see it and think wrongfully that they can do some things. So Chazal make a prohibition, and any animal, we can't cook it with some milk. Another prohibition is Chazal broadened the prohibition of gid and ashay to include the part of the nerve and the fat surrounding it are not included in Torah prohibition. So since the story of Yaakov Avinu, I think, the fight with the angel. So the angel just fight with Yaakov, and he just I would say attacked one nerve in the leg of Yaakov, and we call it the gid and ashay. It's a very specific nerve. And so we got now a prohibition by the Torah that we can't eat that part, only this nerve of any animal, okay? But Chazal made a barrier to say that all the part around this nerve we can't eat, because we are afraid that if we are not doing it well, it's just a little part and everything, so we will just forget it, and just eating it. So Chazal make a barrier to prevent it. And the third one is the Torah prohibition of kilai kerem. Is like we saw when you plant a grain just next to a grape wine. So we know that basically the Torah prohibition, it's only in Eretz Israel. Only in Israel you can't put a grain, any vegetables, just next to a grain of a grape wine. But Chazal, however, extends the prohibition to overland as well, like we can see in the Rambam. So it's also because when we are outside Eretz Israel, we can do it. So maybe somebody in Eretz Israel or somebody in France doing it. A few years later, he will go to Eretz Israel to make his Aliyah, to live there. And he say, okay, so I'm an agricultor. I'm just doing it in France. I can doing it in Israel. It's permits. No, we got this special prohibition in Israel, but people will maybe not know. So Chazal make a barrier to prevent it and to be sure that anybody will through pass this prohibition. So even outside Eretz Israel, we can't plant a grain of vegetable just next to a grape wine. So we got the second category, is food prohibited lest one transgress a Torah prohibition. So we know that one may not eat any food if the likelihood exists that it may thereby come to transgress a Torah prohibition. If, however, that likelihood is not apparent or it just seems far-fetched, the food may be permitted according to Torah law. But Chazal, our Chachamim, however, prohibit certain foods out of concern that eating them may cause an individual, even in a remote instant, to violate a Torah law. That is what we saw. Since while Torah law does not forbid that food, rabbinic law does. For example, we got the chalav akum. Chalav akum, it's a milk milked by a non-Jew without a Jewish supervision. So what's the concern of Chazal? Chazal prohibit it because there are concerns that the non-Jew can mix the milk with a non-kosher milk. What is non-kosher milk? It's a milk from a non-kosher animal. We can drink a milk from a non-kosher animal. So that's the problem. We got the problem of chalav akum, having a milk from non-Jew, because we are afraid that it's not like 100% milk of a goat or something like that, or a cow, and it can be mixed with another milk, and then it can be a real problem. We also have another gzera, another barrier. It's giminat sakum. It's the cheese produced by a non-Jew. What's the concern? It's the problem that the cheese can be cooked by a non-kosher rennet. Another problem is the wine touched by a non-Jew. So Chazal prohibits the wine of a Jew that was touched and moved by a non-Jew, because they were concerned that a non-Jew may have poured some of the wine as an offering to Avodah Zarah. So the real problem with wine is that back in time, non-Jew used a lot of wine to do some Avodah Zarah, some idolatry. So with a statue and everything. So we can have a problem is that if we got a bottle of kosher wine, but with a non-Jew who just touch it and move it, we can be afraid that it was more back in time, but we still have this prohibition today, that it just took the bottle to give some to an idol or a statue of Jesus or whatever you want. And so he will use it to Avodah Zarah, and now it's prohibited to drink it. It's very, this arahats is very complex, and it's very important. For example, if somebody have just a non-Jew walking in his home, like cleaning or serving in the table or things like that. So it's very particular. We have to be very careful with it. Again, today, even if we don't really have some type of ablation, but it's still very complicated. Maybe I'm just thinking, when we eat some food and we are making blessing, maybe if a non-Jew taking some wine and saying, thanks, Jesus, to give us some wine and everything, maybe this blessing can be considered as Avodah Zarah, because he's not addressing his prayer to God, but to a human back in time. And so it can be Avodah Zarah, and it's totally forbidden to drink from this bottle anymore. So we got another category. It's the foods prohibited by rabbinic law, independent of any direct Torah basis. So we got some foods who were prohibited by Chazal because they felt that after these foods are essentially kosher by the Torah meaning, but eating them may be harmful or affect the spiritual purity of the Jewish people. So for example, we got the bishul akum. Bishul akum, it's a food cooked by a non-Jew. So we can't eat this type of food because Chazal will concern that this may precipitate an inappropriate close personal relationship between the Jew and the non-Jew. So the problem is that it's the same problem, in fact, with the wine. We can't drink wine with non-Jew. Why? Because you will drink, it's what the Gemara say, I think, and you can be drunk, and then it's written in the Gemara that you will give your daughter to his son, and they will marry together, because everything back in time was just like, okay, you are my neighbor, you are good people, so just make your son marry my daughter, and they can make a marriage, so our family will be together and everything. So Chazal were afraid that if you eat with a non-Jew, and especially drinking wine, you will be drunk and you will say, okay, you know what, I love you so much, let's give my daughter to your son so they can marry together and everything. Yeah, but he's not Jew, so you can do this marriage. But if it's promised and if it will happen and everything, you will be too close to the non-Jew, so you will maybe really want it, even if you are not drunk anymore. So it can be very, very problematic. So Chazal make a barrier again to prevent this prohibition. Got another thing, it's pas akum. Pas akum is a bread baked by a non-Jew. So similarly, Chazal prohibited eating bread baked by a non-Jew, since eating that bread may bring about a close relationship between the Jew and the non-Jew again. And we got also stam venam, yenam. It's a wine produced by a non-Jew. What's the problem? Is that this prohibition, it's also based upon the concept that drinking this wine may facilitate a personal relationship, again, between the Jew and the non-Jew, as I just said a few minutes ago. And we got the last one, it's sakana. Sakana, it's a danger. So we got some dangerous food. What dangerous food? is that Chazal were more strict regarding a sakanite danger than a prohibition. For example, we can't eat fish with meat. We will see later why, but it's a danger about a medical subject. Okay, so it's not prohibited by the Torah, but we got this problem. I'm just checking something. Yeah, because it's a medical problem. So Chazal prohibited to eat some fish and some meat together. We just have a note that saying that it's very, very important to just don't be light with the prohibition of the rabbis. We can, because somebody can just say, okay, we got the Torah, we got the law of the Torah, I'm just following the Torah, I don't even care what the Rebbe said, it's just too orthodox for me, I'm just not following it. I have the Torah, it's a real prohibition, and I don't know why this Rebbe say it. No, we really don't have to do it, because again, it's a barrier, because Chachamim, the word Chachamim means somebody, a sage, somebody very intelligent with a lot of wisdom. So he knows how people work. He knows how things are going. So, for example, he knows that if we let Jewish people drinking wine with non-Jew, they will become close. They will marry the son and the daughter. They will eat non-kosher food together, and it can be a disaster. So we make this barrier. We make this barrier to prevent this prohibition, and it's very important. So we don't have to say today, okay, but it's the Rebbe, it's too orthodox. No, they know better than us. So we just have to follow them to have the faith on them. And we got a verse in the Torah. We also have a lot of Gemarat saying that you have to follow what the Chachamim said, and if you are not following it, you will be, I think, chayav mita. You can be possible of death, because it's very we got, for example, in Yevamos, we got states saying whoever fulfills the directive of the sage is considered holy. And what the Rabbi Nu Yonah say on it, in respect that one who transgresses the Torah law does so because he was overpowered by his Yetzer Hara. However, one who transgresses rabbinic law often does so because he takes their word lightly, not because of his inability to withstand the Yetzer Hara. And in many instances, Chazal was stricter than regards the rabbinic ordinance and Torah prohibitions. One may be lenient with regard to rabbinic ordinance only in the situation where Chazal especially allowed us to be lenient. So it's very important, and that's the point I wanted in Brachot in the page 4b. It's written, whoever transgresses the word of the sage is liable to death. So we see that it's very grave, and again, they're not doing some law just to annoy us, doing some law to be sure that will not transgress some Torah law. And again, transgressing some Torah law can be very, very dangerous. We can be punished very hard for it, and we really don't want it. And again, Torah, it's a book of life. So it's not just to annoy us. Even the Torah, what's about all the kosher food and everything, we said that when you eat something, you will become this thing. That's why we got the kashrut, and you can eat only some domestic animals, because they are not savage. They are not hunting, eating blood, eating some other animals, and eating some other animals, even if they're still alive and things like that. Because when you will eat this type of meats, you will become like them and becoming a bad person. But the Torah makes a lot of kashrut, so you can eat only peaceful animals and you will stay peaceful. We do the shchita, so we are not exciting all the nerve of the animal before dying. So all the animal will stay in peace, and you will not hit some exciting nerves and things like that, bad for the health. And so that's why it's only for us. It's only for us. It's not to annoy or anything. It's only for us to be a better person, to have a better life, a better health, and to live longer. And that's the point. So let's meet together next week, Bezrat Hashem. Kol Tov.